On the night of August 20th, 1989, a 911 call came in from a mansion on Elm Drive in Beverly Hills. This is the Reckoning Files. Before that night, the Menendez family looked like a Beverly Hills success story. José Menendez was a Cuban immigrant who had built a career in the entertainment industry, rising to become an executive at RCA Records, and later the head of a home entertainment company. He was known as demanding, driven, and unwilling to accept failure from his employees and especially from his two sons. Kitty Menendez, born Mary Louise Anderson, had once imagined a different life for herself. She met José when they were both students, and for years she devoted herself to raising their two boys, Lyle and Erik, as José's career pulled the family from New Jersey to California. Neighbors described the Menendezes as a fixture of Beverly Hills business and social circles, hosting parties and projecting the kind of stability that money is supposed to buy. By the late 1980s, the family was living in a nearly $5 million mansion, the kind of house with a screening room and a tennis court. Lyle, the eldest son, was 21 and had recently been suspended from Princeton for academic dishonesty. Erik, 18, was a nationally ranked junior tennis player, still living at home. From the outside, it was a family with money, ambition, and two sons positioned to inherit both. But inside that house, according to the sons who would eventually stand trial for murder, something had been wrong for years, long before anyone dialed 911. On the evening of August 20th, 1989, José and Kitty Menendez were in the den of their home, watching a movie. At some point that night, their sons Lyle and Erik came into the room, armed with shotguns the brothers had bought days earlier at a sporting goods store in San Diego, using a friend's identification. What followed was fast and devastating. Both parents were shot and killed in the room where they sat. Investigators would later note there was no sign of forced entry, one of several details that complicated the intruder theory almost from the start. After the shooting, Lyle and Erik left the house, disposed of their weapons and clothing, then returned and called 911, telling the dispatcher and the officers who responded that they had come home to find their parents dead. The story they would repeat to police, to family, and to the press for months afterward. At first, the story held. Beverly Hills police canvassed a crime scene that some investigators initially treated as a possible organized crime hit, given the high-stakes entertainment industry José worked in. The brothers, meanwhile, buried their parents in a lavish funeral, attended by hundreds of mourners from the entertainment world. But within days, the brothers' behavior started to raise questions that had nothing to do with organized crime. 4 days after the murders, Lyle and Erik spent roughly $15,000 on Rolex watches. Over the months that followed, they spent close to $700,000 combined on a Porsche, a restaurant business in New Jersey, tennis coaching, and travel. Money drawn largely from their father's life insurance payout. For investigators, the spending was a thread they couldn't ignore. It would take a therapist's office, not a crime lab, to crack the case open. And once it did, the story the brothers had told the world started to fall apart. For months, Lyle and Erik weren't treated as suspects so much as grieving sons. That changed because of a therapist named Dr. Jerome Oziel, whom Erik had begun seeing in the weeks after the murders. According to later trial testimony, Erik confided in Oziel that he and Lyle had killed their parents. Osiel then brought Lyle into a session as well, and in December 1989, he recorded a conversation with both brothers on tape, recordings that were not, at that point, known to police. What brought the tapes into the open was Osiel's own personal life. Judalon Smith, a woman involved with Osiel, went to police in early March 1990 and told them about the recordings. Investigators obtained a search warrant, seized the tapes from Osiel's office, and on March 12, 1990, Lyle and Erik Menendez were charged with the murders of their parents. Lyle was arrested almost immediately. Erik, who had been overseas playing in a tennis tournament, returned to the United States and surrendered to police soon after. The case moved slowly toward trial, delayed in part by fights over whether the confession tapes could even be used, since they had been recorded during therapy sessions. Courts ultimately allowed much of the material in. The first trial was broadcast live on Court TV, turning courtroom testimony about wealth and family trauma into a national daytime spectacle months before either jury reached a verdict. When the trial opened in July 1993, the brothers did not deny killing their parents. Instead, their defense built a different case entirely: that Lyle and Erik had endured years of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse at their father's hands, with their mother aware and unable, or unwilling, to stop it. Erik testified in graphic detail about abuse he said began around age 6 and continued into his teenage years. Both brothers testified that their father had threatened to kill them if the abuse was ever exposed, and that in the days before the murders, they came to believe, however irrationally, that their lives were in danger. Their lawyers argued this amounted to imperfect self-defense, an honest, if unreasonable belief that killing was the only way to survive. The prosecution rejected that framing outright, arguing the brothers killed for money, for a multi-million-dollar estate and a life insurance payout, and that the abuse claims were a defense strategy rather than a documented history. Each brother had his own jury for that first trial. After months of testimony, both juries deadlocked. In January 1994, the judge declared mistrials for both Lyle and Erik. The case would have to be tried again. The second trial began in August 1995, and this time it looked very different. A single jury heard both brothers' cases together, and the judge sharply limited how much testimony about the alleged abuse the defense could present. Much of what had shaped the first trial's outcome never reached this jury at all. On March 20th, 1996, after about 16 hours of deliberation, the jury convicted Lyle and Erik Menendez of first-degree murder, with special circumstances for the killing of more than one victim, a finding that made the brothers eligible for the harshest sentence available under California law short of execution. In July 1996, a judge sentenced each brother to 2 consecutive terms of life in prison, without the possibility of parole. By then, Lyle was 28 and Erik was 25. Barring some future legal change, both were expected to die in prison, in a case investigators had once assumed would never make it past a home invasion theory. The brothers were sent to separate California prisons and would not see each other in person again for more than 2 decades. It wasn't until 2018 that a policy change allowed them to be transferred to the same facility, Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility near San Diego. For most of the next 2 decades, the Menendez case remained a fixed point in true crime history, a verdict most Americans considered settled. That began to shift in the 2020s as new material surfaced, including a letter Erik had written to a cousin months before the murders, and a public allegation from a former member of the boy band Menudo that he, too, had been abused by José Menendez. Defense attorneys used that material to file a new petition asking the courts to reconsider the brothers' case. In October 2024, Netflix released a dramatized series revisiting the case, and public interest in the Menendez brothers surged in a way it hadn't in years. Months later, the legal process caught up with the cultural moment. On May 13th, 2025, Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Michael Jesich resentenced Lyle and Erik Menendez to 50 years to life, a sentence that, unlike their original one, made them immediately eligible for parole. The judge was careful to note that resentencing was not the same as release. He said he believed the brothers had, in his words, done enough to get that chance. That chance came in August 2025. Erik Menendez appeared before the California Parole Board and was denied on August 21st. Lyle Menendez was denied the following day. The board cited the severity of the crime and ongoing concerns about risk, and ruled that both men could reapply for parole in 3 years, with Lyle's case also including a scheduled administrative review that could bring a new hearing in as little as 18 months. More than 35 years after that call came in from Elm Drive, the Menendez case is still not closed. It's paused, waiting on a parole board, a legal system, and a public that still can't fully agree on what justice looks like here. If you want the next case file, subscribe. New files drop Monday and Thursday.